Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to CAD 107, Introduction to 3D Printing, with our weekly Zoom classroom meeting. Today we're releasing Project 3, or Lab number 3. The labs are numbered in the project book, but we've decided to pull this as our third lab because based on our CAD skills, this is a good project to work with. As we have done before, we have them set up. Al, could you talk about the color coding?
Yes, what's really nice about our color coding is Joe and I decided like about a year ago, I believe, that our color coding would be about three different colors, about roughly. Would be a green, which would be basically for our labs. Red would be for testing and quizzes. Violet or purple color, magenta, is for videos, and the blue is for our books. So anything with those colors, and there will be a list up there later on, okay, would be all set ready to go. So as you see right in front of you, this is metric paper, metric B paper, okay, size is in green. So if Joe would click on it, left click on it real quick, okay, it would come drop right down there with a DWT. Remember, the difference between DWT and DWG is DWT is a drawing template file, which you can use at any time you want. And this will come up and it's a metric, and there it comes. And now it's like taking a sheet of paper out of the drawer, laying it on your drawing board, and just start drawing.
And remember, we'll be doing these drawings in model space. And so we'll click over here to model space to do the drawings. And I have already got the lab for today open. And our lab is going to be to take and create these geometries. Now, let's go back and we'll kind of tag back and forth between the CAD and the curriculum. So the lab is right here. If you click on this lab, it will open this PDF right here. And rather than open another one, I'm just going to go to it. So it's a stationary holder, and we have a whole bunch of accoutrements for your desk. And so this will work really well because as we print these, when we print vertically and things that are hollow like this, we can make really large things on the 3D printer very quickly. And so as we look at how this is set up, this person used these polygon shapes. And the way the author has everything set up is that he's given us the dimensions for the parts. And so we have,
I'm sorry. Remember, these are metric, not US.
So we're at 50 millimeters, 40 millimeters, 50 millimeters, and the D stands for diameter. And so what we'll do is we'll draw these circles, and you can see right here that I have them. And these files, or this file, is located in D2L. And so in the D2L system, there is a student file under Lab 3. And so if we go to Content, Lab 3, Project 9, this is a student file. And you can download that, and then you will have this geometry right here. You're welcome to work without the student file and to do everything from scratch, that's fine. But if we wanted to take a look at this, we can go to a top view. And what I've done is I've just gone through step by step and modeled it. And so it's bulletproof as far as being able to follow and get to the end point. If I click on one of these and then I hover over the grip, you can see this is the 30 millimeter, 25, and this is actually a 50 because this is the radius. So when we look at the dimensions on these, the radial dimensions are given. And when we look at the curriculum, they're in diameter. So 30 millimeter radius is the 60 millimeter diameter. And then the heights are given to you. So this is 130 millimeters, 26, 43. And so we draw the circles, we arrange the circles, and then we extrude them or press pull them. And so the way that we have the assignment set up, and we do have a video, is that I went and I created polygons around them. So for example, if I wanted to put a polygon shape around this circle, I would go here, I would select polygon, I would select the number of sides, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would specify the center. Now, if you don't get a glyph for the center, you need to turn on your O snap. So I'm going to turn on my O snap, and there it is. And so I'm going to say circumscribe, which means it'll go around the outside. I'm just going to put it right like that. And then you can move these how you see fit. And so I've gone and done that. And then I removed the circles because I wanted the inside shape to be the same as the outside shape. And then once I had done that, I offset so that we would have the ability to extrude that. And if I want to look at how much we're extruding those, 5mm thicknesses on the walls. And so what we've done here is we've created that shape. And then once you get to this point, you can go and switch over to an isometric view. And you can see how we model these. What we're doing is we're using press pull or extrude. And so we can either press pull them. And sometimes this glitches. Looks like it's good this time. And then we can press pull them to the desired height. And so I'm just going to say for this one, let's look at it. Let's see what it's supposed to be. So the third one, if we're looking at it, should be about 100. And you can make these different. And so I'll come up, I'll bring it to 100mm, and there we go. And so I've gone and done these as well to different heights. And then for the base, we had a shape, my computer's locking up a little bit, that we used to extrude the bottom. And I'm just going to go back because it's giving me a hard time there. And so what I did to hold all of them together was to extrude a base shape. And then I extruded that up. Let's see if my AutoCAD's still locking up. It's still kind of locking. You can see it's spinning. So we'll come back to that at a different time. So let's take a look at some of the assignments that have been turned in. So one of the assignments that was turned in was this one, and my AutoCAD is still not back. And what I'm doing right now is I'm running it on the 3D printer. And so if I were to take a look at this assignment, what it looks like is the tags that we did. And unfortunately, my CAD is locked up in the middle of my recording, so I'm going to just kill it. I'm going to disable it. So we'll just end the task. There we go. And so that was the file that was giving me all the problems. Last week, we introduced this sign that we went over. And then this project is due today. And so here's one of the student files that was created. And I added a hole for this project because what I'm finding is that they're nice, but you need a hole in it or you got to drill it yourself. So why not print it with the hole already? So I just put a small hole in these. And then what I did was I brought them into the Dremel 3D printer. And as you can see, I'm running one of the parts right now. So the printers are networkable. We're using these Dremel 3D 45s. We're running it with PLA. Nozzle temperature is set, platform temperature, chamber temperature. It tells you how the job is going. And then if we go into the prep area, we can see the job. So to get this part, what we did was we exported the file as an STL, and then we imported it into our slicer. Once we have it imported, we can actually see how that file will react. And so we come over here and we can look at, first off, the material type. We can set the quality, which is how thick the layers are. The lower the number, the higher the resolution is. And so 0.1 millimeter is high quality because it'll be 3 times as 3 layers versus 1 layer. And that's just how the extruder will extrude the material. And so we're going to set these up. I got them at low quality because this will print in 20 minutes. And then we'll go through and we'll start to talk about all of these different settings. At this time, we're not generating support, although I do have it on, but there is not a need for support because remember, when you print with a 3D printer, you cannot print over error. So everything is built on layers. And so here we have a 28 layer print, layer 1. And as we go through the layers, you can see the infill pattern. And we're able to adjust these infill patterns. You can print with different materials like semi-transparent. And so here, we can take a look at how these infill patterns are. If I can find them, there they are. And so here's our infill. If I change it, I can go to triangles and then I can prepare it. And there we go. And so there's quite a bit of things that we can do with our printer that we're going to start to explore. Some of them are good, some of them don't print out quite as nicely as we hope. And so there's quite a bit of experimental aspects to it. Once I have everything set and I have it built, I can print it over the network. Students can also use the print cloud. We can actually print remotely, and we'll talk about that at a different time. And then if we go here to our build, and sometimes my camera in this just kind of has to go back and forth. I have to toggle it. We can see our part being built. And I have a secondary camera I'm going to switch over to. And so I'm going to turn off my virtual background. And I'm going to say none here. And then I'm going to go and I'm going to switch my camera. And you should be able to see my camera. And let me adjust it a little bit. And so you can see that it just moves the head back and forth. And it runs on what's called G codes. And these are the same codes that run our CNC machines. So as we take a look at this, we can see that we've got about 17 minutes left. And then if I come back here and we look at some of the other aspects that we're studying, there's a PowerPoint in Lab 3, and we talk about the textbook material. And so the textbook you should be reading is 3D Printer, Mastering 3D Printing. And then as we look into the first chapter, it goes through why to use a 3D printer. And these are just some great examples. We can go through and we can create a number of really great things. It's called additive manufacturing, which means that we don't remove material, but we add. And so we have this roll of filament that goes into this extruder, which is heated, and then it's deposited layer by layer. And the materials are awesome. We can print a number of things other than just polylactic acid. And so some of them have carbon fiber, some of them are metal. For the most part, we're going to print PLA. It costs about $19 a coil, which is a great price. And we can buy that on Amazon. Our 3D printer was invented by this guy, Chuck Hull, in the 80s. And then there's a number of different printers out there. But you can make things, or we can make things that you could not make any other way. And so things like this would be printed with support material, and then we would dissolve the support material in a acid bath or in a water soluble, depending on how it is. We can also do laser cutting. This is another thing that we've added to our shop. When we look at CNC machines versus 3D printing, CNC machines run on the same codes, but they are subtractive manufacturing. They cut a piece of material that we put into the machine. And so your job is to go through the chapter, read about it, understand how to work with 3D printers, laser cutters, and CNC. And so the first chapter talks about what we would use each one for. Laser cut and CNC machines are much faster. 3D printers are very good for prototyping and can do 3D shapes. And so your assignment is to do the questions at the end of the chapter. And so the questions at the end of each chapter are in D2L, and Al has put them under quizzes. And so if we come back to our D2L and we look at quizzes and exams, you should take this test number 1. Excuse me, this is the wrong quiz, but I'll come back to it. We should have a quiz in here that would be for the 3D printing. Here it is, sorry. So I think it's there. That one was just not turned on. So name what type of part that could be best fabricated with a 3D printer, a laser cutter, and a CNC machine. And feel free to answer these questions. If you want, you can add pictures and information so you can add a file. But this is going to be the way that you will be graded. You will need to do the quizzes.
Hey, Joe, can they also look it up on the internet into the book if they want to, with a computer?
Yes, definitely can use the internet for those resources and add those files. There's a ton of stuff out there. One place to find 3D content is Thingiverse. We're there all the time. And so here we have some 3D printed objects from Thingiverse. If we wanted to look for something like, let's say, we can print something. I was looking for kind of a face shield. I do like this moose though. It's a reindeer. This reminds me of a lot of things I used to do on weekends with my allowance. And so modeling is available out there. You can download this, print it. I come back here, we can look at, this is what I was looking for. Face shields, you can print your own. We've done a number of those. All right, so back to our main page here. And then as we look at our review, we're at about 15 minutes into it. Your project for this week, lab number 3, make sure you turn in module 1. Module 1 will have the tags. And so you're to turn in your name tags, and we will print those as I'm printing right now. And then start on lab number 3. Remember, everything is due 2 weeks from now. So as we look at lab number 2 will be due next week. And so we will update the upcoming events. And that's all I have for this week's Zoom meeting. Al, do you have anything else you'd like to add before I end the recording?
Go down a little bit. Go move your mouse down a little bit. Stop right there. And you can see right in it where it says in green, metric pea-sized paper, how to set up a VPN. Now, what's nice about it, for some reason, hey, and you have a Mac version, like a Chromebook or something like that's not working right, or you have an older version, what we would suggest is basically go in, set up VPN, hook up right into Oakland's college setup for computers. It would go into 134's classroom. And all you want to do is, let's say I have a Mac one. I go over, highlight where it says Mac in blue. I left click on that, highlights, and it explains to you how to set up for VPN. What's nice about this is, hey, I got an older machine, but my internet works fantastic. Click on it, there it is.
And I
Okay,
use the VPN. I would go into it right now, but it would probably eat into our time. I
right.
guess I can do a little bit of it, right?
Well, what we're going over is just go back into where it says Windows real quick. Go back in, and you see Windows. Click on Windows. So now, what's nice about it is, well, there's two things nice about it. One, you have exactly what you see on the screen. If for some reason you download, which is great, downloading the software, on the outskirts of the paper itself, it would come up student version. If you do this way, there's one drawback. You can't save stuff on a thumb drive when you put it in here, but you can also save everything you want and print up what you want. Exactly, it comes up just like it is normal.
Right. You can save it to your student drive, your H drive, I believe. That's the student network drive, which you'll be able to access with file with.
Right.
So this has been set up by Al. This is great, and I'm using it all the time. We can give a demonstration for that next time.
Yep. Also,
and as you can see, we have the videos.
Yep. And the videos you see there in purple or magenta. So if you go, it says recording, and right underneath it says Zoom classroom meeting. If you click on it, hopefully it works. There we go.
Right. And so we just go through, here's where to get the software from last week. You want the Dremel 3D slicer, and you can choose either a Windows version or you can choose
Mac version.
Mac version, correct. Alrighty. So again, a lot of resources for you guys. And for this week, work on project 3. If you need any help, instant message us and we'll get back to you within the day if we can. And we'll be happy to help you with any difficulties you have with the course.
Right. There's one more thing. When you put in assignment and you put a Dropbox in the drop assignment, and when we go to drop assignment, go to your student version real quick, Joe. You click on assignments real quick. And let's say I want to do something here and I go into mod 1. Okay. And you go down, there's our rubric, how you get graded and everything else. And if for some reason we're not covering one of these parts, we just give it to you right now and just we'll fill in later on. Keep on going down. And let's say I want to add to it. So I add a file. That's the file you have already saved. Go look for it, etc. Upload it, boom, boom, boom. And you find it. Just click on it and you're all set. There's one thing else. After you add it to a file folder into it, and at the bottom of it, it has contents and has information there. You can see right down below. What we'd like you to do is 2 ways. Say, hey, I'm finished with this drawing, grade it. But if for some reason you need some help, you have the drawing there, add it to it and say, Joe, Al, guys, can you look at this, please? See what I'm doing wrong, help me with it. Can we help you with this way? Then send it back to you. So we use a 2-way handshake. So as you're working on it or you're finished with it, either way, it can go back and forth. And then when you hit submit, you automatically go there.
It will tell you that you've submitted the file, and it will give you a notification that the file has been submitted.
Right.
So that's how you're going to turn in the projects, and then we'll grade them and put them in the assignments folder with your feedback. All righty. Thanks, Al. Appreciate you going over those things. I'm going to wrap up this video so it doesn't get too long, and then we'll open it up for questions from the students.
Okay.
Thanks, Al.
Yep.
We'll see you online next week. Any questions? Just message us.
Yep, please.